next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're Till Rose, are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods is where we landed. Till Rose are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods is where we landed. We're till Rose are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods is where we landed. We're till Rose are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods is where we landed. We're till Rose are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods is where we landed. We're till Rose are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unplugged Unfiltered. I am Brian Clements alongside Bob Clements. And Bob, it's good to have you back in the studio.
I have been in the witness protection program for I have literally for the last 5 weeks been traveling. We've been doing boot camps all over the U.S. and we had a big meeting with the North American Trailer Equipment Dealers Association out in Reno, which is great, a wonderful association out there. Then I actually had a chance to spend last week in Delaware at a dealership that it's called Suburban Lawn and Equipment. Shout out to them, phenomenal group. I did that with Tony, the father, back in 2013.
Oh, wow.
So they had me coming up there, and amazingly, they have succeeded.
Yeah,
even
that's good.
Even after I was up there in 2013, and so Gray, the son, has taken it over, and I got to see Tony. I hadn't seen Tony for a long time. He's 70, I'm 71, and his first question was, "What the hell are we still doing this stuff?" And I go, "I don't know.
Yeah,
I need the cash. I got a lot of expenses, and I need to keep generating money." So it was a blast. So again, they're a phenomenal dealership up in Delaware. If you're up in that area and you have outdoor power equipment, I'm just going to do a shout out.
Yeah,
to them.
shout them out. Go for it.
They're phenomenal. So I had a blast. It was cold and wet, but it was fun being back in a dealership that I'd been in 13 years ago, and just to see how much they've done and how successful they are, and how they've adapted and, really grown as the times, because again, the thing about them, this kind of goes back to our program tonight. These guys are constantly changing and adapting. And just been very successful with it. So.
Well, and you've got to do that. You've got to change, and
Absolutely.
You've got to adapt, and you've got to get better every single year, because if you don't, someone else is, and someone else is going to take your business.
Exactly.
But with that, we are going to talk about the famous last words, and I have to do a quick shout out, because I had a little one who was really upset. So, and I know she said she was going to watch.
Calliope.
So
who you're talking about?
Yes. So if you're there, little Miss Pieces,
my little granddaughter.
If you're watching, I miss you, and Daddy will be home very shortly. So, but with that, the famous last words that no one these are businesses that have failed, that have been very successful businesses, but no one's talked about the honest. I won't say no one's talked about it, but we're going to talk about the honesty of these business failing. And the first one is probably the most well-known one, is Blockbuster.
Oh man. Okay. I remember when you guys were young,
Yeah.
you and Sarah and Kristen, this was our event. So on a Friday night, we, along with 87 million other people,
Yeah.
25 or 30 years ago, we would all go to Blockbuster because
Yep.
that was the event. And you guys would bitch and complain and moan over what video you're going to get. And then
Yeah.
the only thing you really cared about was the candy and the popcorn.
There it is. Yeah.
That was way overpriced. But yeah, Blockbuster was a phenomena.
Yeah.
Back in its day.
Well, I mean, it really dominated the world because, I mean, it had over 9,000 stores,
Yeah.
60,000 employees, and $6 billion in yearly revenue.
What could go wrong, Brian?
What could go wrong? I mean, and it's crazy because, this is with Blockbuster, we're calling it the comfort trap.
Yeah.
And that comfort trap is, they got stuck in, this is the way we do it. Be kind, rewind. And they rewound that tape one too many times. And it's crazy because in 2000, Netflix came to Blockbuster. And at that point, Netflix was just you could go online, you could rent a video, they would ship it to you, you would ship it back.
Absolutely.
And they had started,
and it was a DVD.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a DVD, and
we're talking about cutting edge here.
Yeah, and at that point, they had already started developing an online streaming platform, which was very early. But they went to Blockbuster in 2000 and said, "We will sell you this company for $50 million." Now, this is a $6 billion a year revenue company, and they go, "No one will not want to come into a store, and no one will ever want to watch movies online in front of a computer." Now, of course, back then, right, you didn't have smart TVs, you didn't have anything of that, but they were very narrow-minded. So, with that being said, Bob, when you walk into a dealership, how quickly can you tell if that dealership is going to be a Blockbuster, and what does that feel like in the room?
Well, I mean, honestly, when I walk into a dealership, I can pretty much tell from the moment I walk in. It's like, dear God, it's the 2000s. All right, are you guys still in the 1980s? So I think again, a lot of it goes back to when you walk in. Are they just even current with their signage and with their displays? And we do a lot with Bryan Equipment, who's the big steel distributor in the Ohio Valley, like that. And if you go into their dealerships, they got current displays, they got current equipment and stuff like that. So, if I go into a dealership and their displays are old and the lighting's bad, I mean, you walk in, you have to pull a freaking flashlight out to see the parts counter. Mm-hmm. It's dirty, it's nasty, it's stuff like this. They're not gonna succeed, And I know a lot of dealers, Brian, will say, "Well, Bob, but you have to understand our customers." I understand customers. No customer today wants to walk into the crap that you have.
Absolutely,
they're just not. They're going to go someplace else, And I think that's the big piece, is that everybody comfort. And I think that was the thing you talked about with Blockbuster.
Yeah, they
got comfortable and they said, "Well, this is just what people want." It's kind of like what your mom and I did when you guys were a kid with Blockbusters. It was kind of the event. So that's what we did on a Friday evening. We went to Blockbusters and everybody's going, but this is the tradition. This is just what people do until they're presented with another option.
Absolutely.
If that's the only option that I have, if the only thing that I have the ability to drink is water. Then water's great until you show me lemonade
or liquid death.
Yeah, let's go back to one of our sponsors, Liquid Death.
It's still water.
It is water, but it's much better water.
It is.
So that's the piece. I think the mistake that people fall into is like, well, gosh, Bob, this is what people like about us. And I go, today, right? This is what people liked about you yesterday. But what's the changes out there? And I think, again, that's the mistake. They get into this comfort zone saying, well, gosh, Bob, we've done this for 20 years this way.
Yeah. Why
would we change? And I go, because people today aren't the same people that you had coming in here 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not, as I was with Suburban Lawn and Equipment up in Delaware, I mean, they've been around almost 45 years, almost the exact same amount of time I have. and as I was talking to Tony, the dad, I said, how much has business changed? He goes like, oh my God, Bob, it changes every year.
Yeah.
And that's why, he said, he loves it. He's in the business still, kind of like I am. He's in the business, but only when he gets bored and doesn't want to go to jail. So he goes back in the business. But his son, he's always encouraging his sons, you got to be on the front edge. You got to be on the cutting edge. Because that's how he got his business. I mean, they're a huge single store. I mean, they do, I don't know, 15, 16 million a year in lawnmower sales.
Yeah.
Okay. Lawnmowers. I'm going, I don't know if anybody has a concept of that. That's a fairly large lawnmower dealer.
Yeah.
And because you're selling lawnmowers at, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. So there's a lot you sell.
Yeah.
But again, I think the thing is that, the thing that I walk into and I go, oh my God, you're comfortable. You got old people and it's not like old people behind the counter. I think the challenge is I tell you, I'm 71 years old. I'm fascinated with technology. So it's not the age of the person that you have that's an employee for you. But if you got a person out there if your team's not out there interested in keeping up and keeping relevant, then you got an old team, and an old team is not going to be of any interest to young people coming in and doing business.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, the story that people tell, right, is that Netflix killed Blockbuster. But what actually
Blockbuster killed Blockbuster.
Blockbuster killed Blockbuster because they didn't adapt. They had the stores.
And they had the money.
Yeah,
they
had and even if they didn't want to buy Netflix, right? They had the stores, they had the customers, they had the cash, they had the data, they had all of that. And they could have built their own platform. They could have started shipping DVDs at that point.
They would have spent $50 billion to take Netflix out as a competitor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So for $50 million, they could have. I mean, I don't know what Netflix is worth today.
A lot.
I don't know. I pay a subscription to them every month, and I only watch them about 2 times a month.
Yeah.
But I would go back again. But it was like the dumbest decision in the world. They had tons of money, and they just didn't think. They just couldn't see it. They couldn't see forward. They just couldn't see forward. And that to me, when I go into dealerships, it's like, and I don't go into a lot of dealerships that are not pretty progressive because number one, I'm pretty expensive, and so they're going to come in.
Yeah.
But I meet with a lot of them online.
Yeah.
In Zoom meetings and stuff like this, and we have those conversations. And and I see there's not as many Blockbuster dealership video, kind of people out there because they're gone now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in the world that I work in, probably half of the dealerships no longer exist that existed when in 2013 when I started working with the Suburban. So all of those guys have gone away, and they've gone away. And kind of the interesting thing, Brian, is they've gone away because this whole industry's changed. People just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
it's like, no, you sucked.
Yeah,
right. You sucked so bad that everybody just left you and went to find some other place. So they blame everybody else. But again, to your point, Brian, they got comfortable.
Yeah,
this is how we do business. We're not going to change how we do business. And eventually people are like, well, I'm going to go over here.
Yeah.
Because these guys are, keeping up with what's going on.
Well, but I think we're coming into a new era of what I'll call the Blockbuster disease, because with advancements in AI, with technology, with all of this new software that is out there, we're going to see this Blockbuster disease pop back up.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's now a new realm of dealers who are going to take it to the next level. And if you don't hop on that train, if you don't take your business to the next level using Chat, using Gronk, using Claude, using Triton, any of those new AI tools that are available for dealerships, you're going to get into that Blockbuster. Well, my customers want to talk to a person. They can talk to a person, but I can have AI diagnose the tractor.
They don't care. That's
Absolutely.
The other fallacy. I mean, I talk to dealers and they go like, well, we've got this, press 1 for service. I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. That is, nobody wants to press 1 for service. Damn it, give me somebody that I can interact with. And I think that's the big thing. I think, from the studies that I've been seeing, over 70% of the people right now, when they're interacting with an AI receptionist, are comfortable interacting with an AI receptionist.
Yeah.
And so people say, well, people want to talk to a person. 90% of the people couldn't even tell you weren't talking to a person.
Exactly.
The fact that they're speaking, I don't know, Korean.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this was a dealership in Delaware. How do they have somebody who speaks Korean?
Yeah.
It's a freaking AI agent
Absolutely.
that's talking to you.
Yeah.
They can not only can they speak in Korean, they can actually write in Korean too. And I think, again, the mistake that I see people making again is they say, well, people want to interact with a human. People don't care.
Yeah.
What they want to do is interact with somebody that can get something done for
Absolutely.
them. Whether it's AI or whether it's human, nobody cares.
Yeah.
The mistake that people make today is like, well, people want to talk to a person. No, they don't. They just want something done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take some pain away from me.
100%.
I don't care. I don't care if it's an AI agent. I don't care if it's a human being. I don't care if it's Billy behind the parts counter. Take this pain.
Absolutely.
Take this pain away
Yeah.
from me.
Well, and with that, so the dealers who are not jumping on the AI train, right? The dealers who are scared of it, does there become a point where, and I'm going to continue to call it the Blockbuster disease,
Okay.
does there become a
They
point?
don't care because how many stores does Blockbuster
One.
have?
They
You're
have
not
one.
going to get sued.
No.
You're good.
Yeah. So we'll call it the Blockbuster. But is there a point in a dealership where it is unrecoverable from the Blockbuster disease?
Yeah, and it's because of ownership.
Yeah.
So it's not because of the employees. I think one of the challenges I see, a lot of people say, well, my employees won't change. Your employees won't change because they believe in their mind this is the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, there is. If the owners don't find a new direction.
Yeah.
I call it finding north.
Mm-hmm.
I do an exercise in one of the workshops that I do, my boot camps, and we have dealers and their teams come in, and I said, okay, I want everybody to close your eyes, stand up, and close your eyes. I normally have them stand up first because if they close their eyes and stand up, they'll fall on the table. I said, stand up, close your eyes, and what I want you all to do is I want you to face north.
Yeah.
Okay, close your eyes and face north, and about 25% of the people will actually be facing north. And the other 75% have some people reach up and point to the sky and they go, that's actually up. Up on the map, up is north, but in here, up doesn't count as north. And then I have them open their eyes and I go like, how many of you guys are not facing the same direction as the owner of the company?
Mm-hmm.
And many times the owner of the company is not facing north.
Mm-hmm.
And then I give every table a compass. I say, okay, now that you have a tool, okay, who in here can figure out north? And I said, okay, somebody at the table point out north. Now everybody face that way. And again, I always tell my owners, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a clear direction, if you don't have a clear vision, if you don't know what your north is, okay, none of your people will either. And I think that's the mistake that Blockbuster made. It wasn't that the people in Blockbuster, the employees, didn't want to do something different. It's the owners were so stuck in the thought that forever people is going to want to come into Blockbuster and get shitty ass popcorn and overpriced treats. Okay. And rent a DVD DVD that you're going to fine me for 4 days later. And it's like, oh yeah, what was wrong with that model? Who could think that might change? So, I think again, I blame it on the owners. And I would challenge you guys as because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs on here. You cannot get stuck in, okay, this is what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants today. I mean, my company's 45 years old. My God, from where we were to where we are today, we're not even the same company anymore. Because I constantly, what I do is I chase money. Okay. So I go, gosh, what are people buying? Well, I think I can do that. And so I've built my brand. The Bob Clements International is a brand. I've built that, and I'm what people call safe. So if you do business with Bob's company, they're going to do whatever they have to do to say what they did and make it work for you. So that's kind of our brand is from a manufacturer standpoint, we're a safe company to work with. But on the same token, I always tell my team, I said, our goal is to always be about 5 degrees off center. So here's where everybody else is going. And what we've got to do is twist that just a little bit. Because I want to be on the cutting edge all the time.
Absolutely.
I think the key is when Netflix comes to me and says, can you buy me for $50 million? I'd go, sure. Right. And they go like, people go like, why would you pay $50 million for it? I don't know. They're in streaming. I don't even know what streaming is. But it sounds interesting, and I don't want to compete against them.
Well, and that takes us into the next one, and the next one we're going to call the validation trap, and that's Quibi is the next one, or it stands for Quick Bites, is what it is. But it was a streaming platform that came out in 2020. Its whole purpose was to give you videos that were 5 to 10 minutes long. So you're sitting at the dentist office, you're sitting at the bus stop, you want to watch a movie, right? You're going to watch a 5 to 10 minute movie. And and they did really well when they started raising funds. I mean, they raised $1.75 billion.
Okay, you should be able to make a business survive on $1.75 billion. I could you give it to me. I can make a business work.
Yeah. And they made it.
I only need a salary of $1 million a year.
Yeah. And they made it last for 7 months. So we $1.75 billion, massive Hollywood backing, massive backing. I mean, you don't raise $1.75 billion not have massive
There were a lot
backing.
of people that should have asked one more question.
Yeah. but the problem was, and this goes back again to what we were just is they didn't have the data. They didn't know where North was. They raised the money, right? But they didn't know where North was, and that cost them. So Bob, they raised $1.75 billion.
That blows my mind.
What's the dealer version of that? What does it look like when someone spends big on something their customers never asked for?
Well, and again, I see that a lot. Dealers call me up and say, "Hey, Bob, we want to open a second location."
Yes, they should. And a third, and a fourth, all at the same time.
The first thing I go is like, "No, you really don't want. You can't even operate your first location. Why in God's name would you open a second one?" They go, "Well, gosh, Bob, the business is out there." When you say the business is out there, if you had customers from that area come in and say, "Oh my God, I would die to do business with you if you were 45 minutes closer to 2 minutes," they go, "Well, no, we've never had that happen." I go, like, "Okay." All right, so you want to do it for what reason?
Yeah.
Well, we want to expand. And I go, well, okay, at what cost?
Yeah.
Right? And I tell people we have 5 questions that we always ask dealers. First of all, number one, are you drunk or on drugs? That's the first question I would ask them. But again, it goes back to where they in their mind believe, okay, there's this huge market out there, but they've never actually done any research.
Yeah.
Okay, so they in their mind believe, or Brian, and you and I've been in this business. Brian, you've been with me for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And they had a manufacturer say, what you really need to do, Brian, is open another dealership here because we have this vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay, we have this void. And by the way, Brian, if you don't fill it,
someone else will.
I'm going to go find somebody to compete against you.
Yeah.
And so the dealers get sucked into this dream and all the manufacturer. And I don't mean this across the board because I've got a lot of manufacturers, distributors I work with. And I would say probably 70% of them are 100% dealer focused, but I will tell you that 30% of them don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if it's a dealer or manufacturer or a distributor, not a dealer, that doesn't care, they just want to put a body there.
Yeah.
They don't care. And they don't care whether you make it or not. It doesn't matter to them. They're just going to sell some more machines.
Yeah.
But they're going to sell some more equipment. So again, I think that's the piece is, did you actually validate the fact that there is a demand 45 minutes away from you that is worth investing $2 million in property and equipment and floor plan? And they go, well, no, but we just really feel like it'd be a great idea. And so you've never validated that people want to watch a 5-minute freaking video at a bus stop.
Yeah.
People want a 5-minute or a 10-minute video. I think probably TikTok would tell you that most people don't want to watch 5 or 10 minutes.
They want to watch 3 minutes. 3 seconds.
3 seconds. I go back again. Did you ever, and this is not like a long time ago.
No, it's 2020.
Okay. I mean, we're just talking about a short period of time ago. And it's like, at what point did you ever validate that this was a model, and what blows my mind is that they got $1.7 billion of other people that were dumbasses that didn't validate it either.
Well, and honestly,
would you watch 5 and 10-minute videos?
No, absolutely.
Oh my God, who would?
I mean, you should.
You
if
should
you're
watch
watching,
ours.
Watch it.
But ours are 30 minutes. So just scratch what I said. This is a great investment of your time.
Yeah, no, but the crazy part is, and going into 2020, I mean, that was the year I would say that streaming platforms stepped their game up because what else did you have to do?
Going to COVID.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you couldn't make a streaming platform work at COVID when people were forced to freaking watch streaming and stay home, you had a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. So if you couldn't make it during COVID in a streaming platform, nobody wants to watch a 5 or 10-minute freaking video. Okay. If you couldn't make it there.
Allow some shorts in there.
Oh my Lord. Give me something that's funny.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Give me something that's funny. Yeah. I mean, that's even the craziest part. They were created during probably the greatest opportunity anybody in streaming had.
Yeah.
Because nobody could leave.
Absolutely.
Right? You were forced to watch this stuff. So
and again, they had a massive Hollywood talent behind them that was
there
backing
you go.
them.
You always follow the Hollywood talent.
Well, I mean, and you get some of those big names who are putting up the money, then who are acting, and but then you don't actually validate everything that you're doing. It's like, okay, yes, I might have a Tom Cruise or someone in this video.
Hey, Tom Cruise is not going to do it.
No, it would be badass, a really badass 10 minutes of the video.
Exactly.
But anyways,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
I'd watch a 10-minute video of Kevin Hart.
I'd 100% watch it.
But I'm fairly confident he didn't invest in this.
No, I don't know who invested in it, but
I would watch a 10-minute. I'd watch a 5-minute. I'd watch a 10-minute Kevin Hart.
Oh, I would too. I'd watch a 30-minute Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, absolutely. As long as LeBron James, and I like LeBron James, but Kevin Hart makes him funny.
Yeah.
It ain't because he's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because that's the validation trap. And you talk about it on the dealership side, right? Is people get pressured in. It's like, okay, well, I have the funds to do it. I can push this and I can do this. But there's no validation. And that, I will say that's one of the big things. Like when I was focusing on building Triton and still focusing on building Triton is we have really focused on validating every feature that is coming out in phase 1.
Yeah.
Right. And we have that validation. We know that what we're spending money on is what people want.
Exactly.
Again, when you're going up against TikTok, when you're going up against YouTube, and you raise $1.75 billion, you have to figure out, okay, why do people go to TikTok? Why do people go to YouTube? Why do people go to Netflix? Why do people not go to Blockbuster anymore? Right? Figure out those things.
Yeah, I go to YouTube because I want to figure out how to fix my dryer.
Absolutely.
Okay. YouTube is like the instructional platform for people. Go. TikTok is make me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do something funny, make me laugh, or show me something that's unique and different. I don't need to see 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. My phone is listening to us because it just turned on. So
that's great. That's great.
But it's really one of those, like, you have to validate. Doesn't matter how much money you have.
It doesn't.
If you do not validate what you're doing, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, I think people say, if I had more money, no, it's not more money. I mean, you have to have enough to get going. Okay, let's just face it. I mean, you're building a software platform, so
any of those people who invested that 1.75 billion,
I would be interested in starting a new division of Bob Clements International for
streaming. Streaming service.
I think we could stream and make money. Actually, we already have a streaming service set up in our toolbox. So
but is it 5 to 10 minutes long? That's the problem.
Yeah, most of mine's 30 minutes. So.
Well, there's a niche there that I feel like we can
somehow. I think it's hard for me to train a service manager in, I don't know, 5 minutes.
Well, so you're not thinking outside of the box.
I have thought outside of the box. So yeah, our streaming service is to replace it on-site trading where people had to go spend $6,000 to travel to Sioux Falls, South Dakota to sit in and training. We're like, well, that's a dumb man. And I love Sioux Falls. I got a lot of dealers up there. But to go up there and spend $6,000 when I can do the same thing for your $450.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It does make sense. So I'm already there with it. You know, we're trying to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think again, Brian, it's not about more money. It's just, I'll use QB as an example. It's like, how in God's name could you not have made a streaming platform work during COVID because you had an idea that sucked?
Yeah.
I just got to say that. I don't know. And there's probably somebody from QB. They're broke now, so it doesn't. I guarantee if they did $1.7 billion, the people that started it still came out fine.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the thing about that is the lesson is not don't raise money.
No.
The real lesson is conviction without validation is confidence. It is not confidence. It's arrogance on a budget. And that's really what it is, right? Is I'm so convinced that this is going to succeed because look at how much money we raised, and then you didn't put in the rest of the work. Yeah. You didn't do it. So,
again, there's a ton of people that have good ideas that are actually not good ideas.
Absolutely.
And I think and you're going to have them as an entrepreneur. So I go back again. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've had a lot of brilliant ideas that really sucked when I spent $250,000 on them. My wife and I talk about, if we had all the money that I spent on really bad ideas, I wouldn't be doing podcasts with you.
Well,
You know, because you pay me so well. To
yeah,
do this, so.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
The money just simply flows.
Yes.
As we go through.
Yeah.
This. I love doing this. I love talking to entrepreneurs. But it goes back again. Every entrepreneur has a ton of good ideas.
Yeah.
You know, but again, they're not really all good ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the big thing. And to your point, it's like with QB, you've got to validate it. Just because you think it's a good idea, I don't know, do a test. And I talked about this, Brian, over the many months we've been doing podcasts now.
Yeah.
Is how easy is it to test out an idea today compared to what it was when I started the business 45 years ago? You just had to put money in it, spend a year and go like, wow, I just wasted a lot of money. Today, with YouTube and with TikTok and even Instagram and some of the different things, you can throw an idea out and say, hey, I just want to get some honest feedback.
Yeah.
I don't want you to make me feel good. Any of you guys think this is a good idea? And I think, again, for free,
yeah,
you can have a lot of people go, no, your idea sucks.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, I don't know. Like I say, I think we're in a time right now from an entrepreneurship. There's never been a time, and it'll get better, but there's never been a time where you could quickly test out a concept or an idea with a group of people. And I think people on TikTok and stuff, I think they're kind of brutally honest because they're somewhat anonymous.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
They don't care. And I want that. I just be honest with me. Is this a good idea or a bad idea? And,
yeah.
If it sucks, tell me it sucks. And then I won't spend any money on it. I may throw out another idea. Well, what about if we did this? Or sometimes I think people will give you feedback and say, well, I wouldn't do that, but if you did this and this, I go like, oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought about that little twist there. So, so what you're saying is, you don't want to do videos through the mail, but you would do a DVD.
Absolutely.
In a little red slip container.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's to me. I mean, that's the beauty of what we got. But I think again, with all ideas, you need to get some sort of validation outside of yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest. So I had someone reach out to me this week who approached.
And I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah. Who approached me with an idea, and they said, "Well, what do you think about this? Would you use this?" I said, "I have a service that I'm already using that does everything that you're offering, cheaper than what you're offering it, and has more features than what you're offering. I would probably go a different direction."
Yeah.
Now I hope they take my advice and not try to build something out. Like
when we're done, I just want to make sure I didn't invest in them.
Yeah. But
Bob, I've got a great idea.
Yeah. It's one of those, that would be like someone coming to me and saying, hey, Brian, I want to build the next Netflix. It's twice as expensive, has half the shows. Would you want to be part? It
has all Bob Clement's videos on.
But it's all BCI.
It's all BCI. 24 hours a day, all day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Invest in that company.
Run the fuck away.
No, do not. This is your gold mine.
And that's where we get into the next one, which is the WeWork, which is the ego trap.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's the ego trap. And
okay, you got to tell the story of, because some people will not know of WeWork.
Yeah.
Other than the guy that walked away with $1.7 billion of other people's money.
Yes.
So you got to tell the story of WeWork.
Yeah. So WeWorks was a shared office space company.
Not a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. And at its peak was valued at $47 billion. The model itself was real. People genuinely.
People want to share office space? Are you telling me that?
Oh yeah, people. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great
idea.
But the problem is the ego of a founder, the ego of a CEO tends to.
I'm feeling tense right now.
Yeah, well, and that's
okay. You're pointing to me quite a bit in that. It's like
the ego of a founder. But when it comes down to it, is they were building. The founder not only had a very lavish lifestyle,
you think,
but he also wanted to own all of these properties that weren't necessarily office. And they got to a point where in 2019, the company was burning $219,000 every single hour. So,
yikes!
And they collapsed pretty quickly at that point.
Yeah. I don't care if you're a $1 billion company, unless you're the government.
Yeah,
you can't burn $300,000 an hour.
The employees lost everything. Every one of the WeWork employees, they lost everything. But yet the owner walked away with $1.7 billion, and that becomes what is the we're calling it the ego trap. So WeWork had a real business. People actually wanted what they were selling. The model worked at small scale. What killed it? Because I think one of the most dangerous fails on our list tonight is here, and I think that is because the ego of the founder is what killed WeWork. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well,
what
absolutely.
Killed?
I mean, you can't. You know what happens is people that have not had a lot of money get a lot of money, and they don't know how to handle a lot of money, and they don't really care about the people that got them there. So again, it's 100% ego thing. If you're an entrepreneur, you're not doing this on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. People say, well, I'm doing this on my own. Nah, it's BS. You've got somebody along the way, an angel investor, or you got somebody that's saying, hey, look, I'm helping you here. And when you get to the point as an entrepreneur where you don't care about the people that got you there, which is what happened here.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that you had a company that's worth $47 billion. Everybody lost money except the owner, the founder, and he walked away with $1.7 billion.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that there's fraud involved. Okay. I'm not saying that. I mean, that's just how it was structured. He can do it. He might say, well, yeah, but I built a company that was worth $47 billion and I only ended up with $1.7 billion. Poor me. That's what I was going to say. It's like, you suck because you didn't care about the people. You didn't care about the investors in it. You didn't care about any of that stuff. All you were there for is you were buying very expensive cars that you didn't need. You were buying properties that you didn't need. You're buying all this other crap. And again, that's an ego trip.
Yeah.
And I think I hate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I tell entrepreneurs, the most important thing to remember is remember who got you to where you are. Thank your parents. Thank the uncle that was the angel investor. Thank those people and take care of them. Take care of your employees.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have some employees that, some employees come and go, but I'm a big believer that, for most businesses, you're going to have a core of maybe four or five employees that really got you to this point.
Yeah.
These are people that you owe everything to.
Absolutely.
Okay. And it's not about you. It's about how do I take care of this core group, this group that I am here today, not because I was brilliant. I'm here today because I have 4 or 5 people that, are this core group that got me here, and I'm never going to do anything that's going to damage or take away from that core group.
Yeah.
And again, so if you got an ego, you in your mind, you think, oh, it's all me. I'm brilliant. I'm whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I would tell you, I don't know anything really about this company, but I would tell you again, the owner that created it wasn't the guy that built it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was the guy that spent all the money.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me there wasn't a group of 4 or 5 core people that were looking at properties and all this stuff like this that ended up getting screwed in the whole deal.
Yeah.
Right. Because he didn't care about them. All he cared about was him.
Yeah.
And you never want to get there as an entrepreneur. Get your ego out of the way. Take care of the people that helped you get to where you are. And the cool thing about it is, and I think Brian is, as like what you're doing with Triton, is you've got a core group around you that are basically working for nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're a startup. I mean, this is what it is. Nobody makes a lot of money in a startup,
Yeah.
But you got to make sure that you, because things will, when Triton gets launched and explodes this fall, as it will, you got to make sure all those people that were there when there was no money are taken care of. That's that core group that will go through hell and back with you.
Absolutely.
This to me is a perfect example of a guy that didn't give a damn about the people that got him there.
Yeah.
All he cared about was him. And so he had a great idea. That's great. But he didn't get there on his own, and I just feel like, like I say, I'm not saying he defrauded anybody. I'm not saying that at all, but he left everybody else out to dry.
Yeah.
He walked away with 1.7 and was probably bitching because he got screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so to pull all of it back in, and at what point does a founder's vision become the biggest liability? So we've talked about Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Their founder's vision, not their founder at that point, right? But their board, their controlling interest vision locked them into one spot.
Right.
Quibi's vision
what the hell were they thinking?
We don't know what they're.
I have no idea what they were thinking.
I couldn't sit through 5 or 10
I wish
minutes.
they'd have called me in 2020. I would have gone like, let's rethink this whole strategy.
But their vision was very set in stone, and then we work. So at what point in a dealership specifically does the vision become the biggest liability?
Well, I think again, if you're not getting inside pushback on your vision, and doesn't mean that you're going to get a lot of pushback on your vision. People say, well, that'll never work. I mean, I was told that for, I don't know, like 40 years. It does work. Okay. So again, so you have to also, and I think we've talked about this before, Brian, is making sure that you're around other mature entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I think about people that I were around that would say, hey, look, don't listen to anybody else. And I still, to this day, my mom and dad passed. I don't think they ever really understood what I did. So, but again, it's being around people that are mature entrepreneurs that can give you good feedback, and then understand that, they've been there. Listen to them, and they're not trying to destroy you. They're not trying to crush your dream, but again, it's getting that feedback from people that are entrepreneurs, not from people that's not been entrepreneurs. If you're talking to people that's never been an entrepreneur, that's not the advice you want to get from. But Brian, there's thousands of mature, successful entrepreneurs that I always tell people as entrepreneurs, go freaking buy them lunch. They love to eat for free.
Absolutely.
Rich entrepreneurs are rich because they don't spend money on lunch.
Absolutely.
But take them out to lunch and say, I want to run an idea by you. And then they go, I don't really know a thing about your business, but have you thought about this or have you thought about that?
Mm-hmm.
And they may say, hey, I don't know, but I got a friend of mine who is an entrepreneur that does this. And I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, is they don't literally take advice and get advice from other more experienced entrepreneurs. And even if they're not in the industry, being an entrepreneur is being an entrepreneur. I don't care whether you're, I love the gentleman who writes our music.
Alex Graham. Shout out to him.
Oh my God. I love your music, Alex. And again, so maybe I couldn't write a song if my life depended upon it, but I am an entrepreneur. And so I could have a conversation with Alex and say, hey, I love your music. Right. Here's some things you want to think about.
Yeah.
Here's some things you want to think of. If you want to expand, you want to grow, I'm talking to guys that's probably got 1.5 million followers.
Yeah.
So screw it. My ideas suck. I don't have 1.5 million followers. But I'm just saying, again, I think, I could take any entrepreneur, even if I don't understand your business, I can give you some direction.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other experienced, successful entrepreneurs that I could direct you to that might be able to help you more.
Yeah.
But it's that listening.
Yeah.
Being smart enough to listen to other ideas. And then again, not take them personally. If somebody today came up and said, hey, that idea really sucked, and go like, well, here's why I think it works. It doesn't mean that I might not go ahead and try it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put, I don't know, $1.7 billion in it. I say, let's test this out at $100,000 and just see what we can do. So that's my thoughts.
So kind of to recap. So what I want to do is a 30-second timer on the clock. We don't actually have a timer where you can see 30 seconds, but what is one time that your business has been like Blockbuster, and what did you do to get out of that?
Mine was at 9/11 in September when we had the terrorist attack on the U.S. I was 100%. I would say 100%. 90% of all my business was speaking. I traveled all over the United States, all over the world, and I spoke to salespeople. And after 9/11, I had to totally reset myself, and my wife and I didn't take a paycheck out of the business for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because when I had to do what Brian was change and say my business is no longer a speaking business,
I
had to convert myself to a consulting business.
Yeah.
Greatest decision I made, but I could have stayed there and say, oh no, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
And then I would have just died. So that would have been it. Nope. There's never going to be a day where people fly all their people on the same plane anywhere in the world that are producing people.
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore.
Yep.
And it used to happen all the time.
Absolutely. Well, and it goes back. That is the pivots that Mike and Cass Lazaro talk about all the time. And again, if you haven't gotten the book, get Shoveling Shit. If you're an entrepreneur and you feel like you're the only one who's going through something, get Shoveling Shit. I can promise you,
every entrepreneur has
a entrepreneurial couple that sold a business for $745 million has been through the exact same shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Quibi, what has been one point in your business where you felt like you had validation or you didn't need validation, and then you realized very quickly that that wasn't going to succeed because you didn't have the validation, even if you had the funds behind it.
Oh yeah, and I did it. I did my own investment in it. I spent $250,000 in 2001 to create a learning management system. This was kind of unknown back in those days.
Yeah,
but I found out again that nobody again is going to do a lot of traveling, and because we were doing business in both the UK and the United States, and the video platforms were a different platform, and I decided, what we really need to do is deliver. Listen to this, my content online in the streaming platform. This
there
was
you
in
go.
2001.
Yeah, well,
okay, and so I spent $250,000 on a platform that would do that, only to realize that a 98K bottom on a dial-up network couldn't do anything other than maybe transmit sound.
Yeah,
and so again, so that was a big one. I didn't test the market.
Yeah,
I had in my mind, there's back in 2001, $250,000 probably be, I don't know, $1 million or plus today.
Yeah.
And so again, that's an idea I should have took behind the barn and shot.
Well,
at about $100,000, I should have just killed it at 100,000. But hell no, let's go ahead and put another 150,000.
Well, I mean, but the reality,
I didn't test the market, Brian.
And it's one of those, like, had you kept it right, and had you continued to validate it, and that's not necessarily validating it through the customers, but validating through the technology that is available.
Exactly.
Is you could have still been on the very, very cutting edge.
I was on the bloody edge of the sword.
Yes. But you were at that point where it made sense, but the technology couldn't support it. And I think that there's a lot of dealers out there. There's a lot of businesses where you go, oh, this is really cool, this is a great idea, but maybe the technology is not there. Maybe and it doesn't mean give up on it.
Oh, I didn't, because I decided about 4 years ago, hey, this is still a great idea. And so I went back and I re-updated our whole learning management system, and I put another $100,000 in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? It still was a bad idea. So
take it behind the barn and shoot it.
I should have shot it. I wounded it.
Yeah.
I wounded it, but it crawled back out from behind the barn. And I put $100,000 in it to heal it. And then I took it behind the barn and shot it.
There you go.
Because the thing, and this goes back a little bit to ego.
Yeah.
Okay. So this goes back to our last conversation. I was so convinced that I was right.
Yeah.
That this was the right thing to do, that my ego got in the way. Logic was the first thing. So I went and shot it, but I didn't kill it altogether. My ego made it resurrect.
Yeah.
And so it has a resurrect. And $100,000 later, and I go like, okay, my ego's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go kill this thing. And now it's no longer the BCI learning management system no longer exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's $400,000 later.
You know what? It was a good ride.
But you know what? It was my own money. I didn't look for investors.
There you go. So, I mean, I think you could have made it succeed if you had 1.75 billion.
That's right.
So,
I just needed more money.
You didn't raise enough.
Was my
funds.
problem.
That was your problem.
I did not raise enough money. My whole thing was I was undercapitalized.
There you. That was it. You
Maybe
could have made.
I'll reach out to Mike and Cass and say, "Hey, I got an idea.
I got an idea.
I
need
right,
I need 1.75 billion.
But you know what? I'm confident this time.
I can make it work for at least 8 months.
At least 8 months. I can make it go. Yeah. I can make it go longer than QB.
Yeah. So, okay. So last one, WeWork. So at what point in your business has ego kept you from moving forward? And we kind of just talked about it, but has there been any other point where you go, okay, I can resonate with WeWork. I can understand where maybe my ego caused a deal to collapse that we needed, or a product to collapse that would have been a successful product?
Yeah, I would say, and I have a particular manufacturer that I promised I would never do business with ever, about 30 years ago.
You want to do a shout out to them?
No, I do not.
I'll shout them out. I don't give a shit.
You don't shout them out either. And I had such a negative experience with them. And so I promised myself, this was my ego, Brian. I promised myself, I will never do business with you people. How you treat dealers, how you do this. And it was probably a stupid mistake, because I've had them reach out to me in the last 15 or 20 years, say, hey, we'd really like to work with you.
Yeah.
And I don't really have the time.
Yeah.
Okay. My ego got so much in that way. I could have probably made a lot of money working with them, and they reached out to me, but I just was my ego was so locked in.
Yeah.
And that was probably a stupid mistake.
Well, but at the same time, that would be I would say a morally protecting ego.
I have no more. I have no morals.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so so you can't bring morals.
But it is truly a morally protecting ego, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's because I've had people approach me about being part of Triton and coming into it, and how they would want to run a business like Triton, or how they would want to be partners with you. That those are not people that I want associated. And so I would say on the ego side of things, that's a correct ego to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, you lose money, but
probably millions.
Yeah. Well, but you don't lose, because if you do business with a company like that, and there's a big company in the industry that Triton's in, that if I were to do business with that company, I would be eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like, you are the same as everybody else. And so, yes, I have the money, but my trust, the morals.
I would agree. Yeah.
That is more valuable than the millions of dollars.
Well, it is. I would agree, but again, my problem is the people that I had this negative experience with were no longer with the company.
Oh yeah.
And so my ego got in the way of saying, hey, these are brand new people. They probably think in a different way. So, ego's it's easy to let your ego get in the way.
Yeah.
It really is, and I think that's something you have to be cautious of. I would agree. There's sometimes it's not so much your ego; you're just trying to make sense of what's going on. But I would say that would be one of mine. And would I go back and change it? Maybe not. I've done actually very well. Without that manufacturer. But anyway, so that's ego can slip in without you even realizing ego's slipping in.
Absolutely. So. With that, we're going to kind of wrap this up, but I want you guys all to think, everybody who is watching, is where are you at right now, right? Are you in a Blockbuster mindset? Are you in a Quibi mindset? Are you in a WeWork mindset? Which one of those doesn't interest you the most, but which one of those makes you feel pain? Because the one that makes you feel pain is the one that you are feeling. And so, it's one of those, are you in the comfort trap? Are you in an ego trap? Are you in a validation trap? Every business that I've ever dealt with is in one of those traps at all times. It doesn't mean that it's detrimental, but every business, every entrepreneur is living inside of one of those three traps. So which one are you living in? Comment below, send us a message. Which one of those three, comfort, validation, or ego? Let us know, because we would love to hear from you. And just understand that there's no point. There does become a point where those traps become fatal.
Absolutely.
But for most of you, if you're starting to feel that pain, it means that you're not at that fatal point, and you can get help. You can get things turned around. You can pull yourself out of that trap. And if you have questions, you have comments, just let us know. You can always reach us on YouTube, on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, on our website. And we're more than happy to help anybody and everybody. And I do have to shout out, I had an incredible call with Brian Lay, also known as B Lay, today, an incredible artist. Check him out on YouTube. I had an incredible call with him. He's doing some really, really amazing stuff. And I hope to have him on the podcast really soon, to share with everybody what he's doing, because he is doing some really cool stuff. But with that, our time is coming to an end. It has been about 7 months, $1.75 billion, and we're just going to have to shut the shit down.
Well, I go back again. If you get a $1.75 billion investment and you're curious on how to spend it, reach out to me.
And me, please.
I will, for a fee, I will help you.
Absolutely.
Figure out how not to lose $1.7 billion.
Absolutely. But with that, we appreciate you all. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, message us. We love talking to everybody here. But with that, that was the famous last words. We will see you guys next week right here on Unplugged Unfiltered.
Thanks, everybody.
Never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportunity. rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows are next to be commended. We're taking down all of those